So, are you boys ready? Gonna press play.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I brought you here to offer you an opportunity.
Oh, I smell what you're stepping in. It's gonna get good.
There he is.
It's been some time, hasn't it? You've come up in the world.
I could say the same about you.
I wonder if your darker half would agree.
Exactly what kind of a lawyer are you? A really good one.
Yeah, dude. Nice.
A lot of bangers.
Yeah, let me quickly let me just kind of. So, okay, I'm already noticing a few interesting things. I think I think immediately, like, it visually looks like a Daredevil show, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how much money they poured into this, but the vibe I'm getting is like they went how much they were like, okay, let's go to Vermont and let's shoot this on a shoestring budget, and then we'll just like try and do whatever we can to make this not expensive. Because I feel like so much of Marvel Television's problem at the moment is they keep throwing money at stuff, not knowing if it'll work. I wonder if they're like, this is a sure bet, so we're just not gonna drop cash on it, or if it's gonna be like a proper, you know, visual Marvel extravagant. I can't imagine it would be. Like, I don't know. It's not gonna be like weird portals and shit. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it feels of the same genre as Daredevil, even just visually.
Yeah, I mean, that has been the question, like, what sort of, like, continuity in the sense of, you know, tone and production are they going to carry on from Netflix? In terms of the pattern that, like, Disney Plus has been going at, it's like, keep all the shows separate, do, you know, established each IP first, don't do any sort of crossovers and nonsense. So I imagine that's what they're going to do. They're going to, like, stick to the universe of Daredevil specifically, as we can see, has all the all-star cast from Daredevil. But yeah, and I don't know about budget, but it does seem like they're trying to have some consistency with the feel, which is great.
Yeah, I think that was our biggest I mean, for those who sort of, I mean, we talked about it a little bit in the show. We tried to avoid spending a huge amount of time on it because it felt like it was one of those. The point of the show is to think about, you know, the point of Daredevil in detail is to think about what Daredevil is doing as a storytelling vehicle, not necessarily trying to outlay the paratext of like the Marvel Disney thing that, you know, has swallowed it whole. But I think it's interesting that we've gone all the way back around from where Born Again started, which was, hey, we're just gonna, like, you know, we're gonna take these characters that we have, and we're gonna just keep Charlie Cox, and then we're gonna get a whole new cast of everybody else. And we've warped all the way back around to like, oh no, guys, we promise it's the same universe, same characters. You know, I mean, what's it been? Like, it's got to be, it's almost a decade since the season 3 came out, right? Like, season 3 was what, 2017 is when they filmed that? 2016? I can't remember.
Filmed it? 2019? Oh no, maybe it was 2018 when it came out.
I think we've had this exact conversation on the show before. Let me check while Darth tell us, what's the vibe? How'd it hit you?
So the really weird thing that I can't get over when it comes to this show is actually nothing to do with the show. It's with Spider-Man No Way Home. And I really want to know what Disney is doing with their overarching strategy with getting Daredevil into the like main Avengers storyline, because introducing him in the movie and like the audience went crazy, like everyone was like immediately recognized him and was like cheering and all this stuff, and I'm like, finally they're bringing him, because like there's several characters in the Netflix shows that would have been amazing to bring over, but they're never doing it. Like, they've refused to, I mean, yeah, probably a lot of different franchises refuse to bring over TV show actors into film, for maybe there's a good reason for it. But I was really hoping that at this point we would have him starring alongside the other heroes on the big screen, and we haven't had it. And now that they're going back to this, you know, episodic formula, just like TV, I'm like actually mildly disappointed, if that makes sense. because I thought this was going to be like, I thought No Way Home was going to be a new step for Daredevil as a whole in, you know, our modern culture, if that rambling makes any sense.
Yeah. I think there's probably a few things to think about from like a mechanistic perspective there, right? It's, first of all, money, right? If you have a star that you've homegrown for TV, bring them into movies, the conversations about money get really complicated, and the contracts also look very, very different. I think the other thing is, and I don't mean this to sound disparaging to the actors they've chosen for the films, but TV acting is a much more challenging and involving exercise than movie acting a lot of the time, especially if you think about the ways in which Charlie Cox, Deborah Ann Wall, and the guy who's from the Mighty Ducks, Foggy, who's the actor we never remember, they functionally have to carry 3 seasons of television without any particular special effects or Marvel events to drive their reactions and things like that, right? It's purely operating in, this is a television drama thriller. Like, do you have the juice to sustain that as an actor? And the answer that those 3 actors returned with was a resounding yes. And of course, Vincent D'Onofrio putting in a career best performance as Fisk every time he is on screen, every time he's thought about in the show. He develops such a gravity and a presence in that role that I worry that when you put these actors against a Tom Holland, for example, who has granted grown quite a bit in the last sort of 5 to 6 years as an actor, and, you know, when you see him in some of his the more indie stuff, he's definitely developing some of that that more kind of prestige acting, that more subtle acting. I think a lot of the Marvel film acting is like big acting, and then I think for something like Daredevil, it's small acting and it's slow acting. And I just think there's probably a bit of a friction there between, well, what kind of film do you put him in? Like, because I want to see him with Spider-Man too. Like, that's one of my favorite things in the comics is when they just buddy cop about, and Daredevil finds Spider-Man the most infuriating guy on the planet, but secretly they're buds. You know what I mean? It's like, I hate you, but like you're my guy kind of thing. So I don't know how you marry those two tones outside of like centering the films on these characters, and I don't think they have enough cultural cachet outside of us nerds for that to make sense for Marvel. I don't know. I agree with you, but I also think like it's a mighty big ask for them to make that work in the current state that company's in, I feel.
I think especially one element of that soup is that rolling Daredevil back is like to this exact format you're talking about, Darth, is itself like some sort of like subversive marketing, because I feel like that is what everyone expects when you introduce Daredevil into Spider-Man. Oh, he's going to be a big player in the next Avengers phase. But on the other hand, you know, I imagine creators and execs know that the prestige of Daredevil in the minds of the fans lays in its like sort of underground, you know, low-key setting of the grungy Netflix TV show. And so thereby like keeping it in that format, but still slowly integrating him into the Avengers scene is like, I feel like from their perspective, it's probably the best of both worlds, right? You set him up for future Marvel films alongside Tom Holland possibly, but then you introduce him back into the MCU with like something familiar and safe, something that the fans would want maybe.
I could also really see them having the issue, or perceiving that they have the issue of they don't know how to bring him in an actionable way, because he's not supposed to be a superhero in the same fashion that the rest of them are. And it's like the joke of like Black Widow and what she can kick. You know, how is she fighting alongside Hulk and all these other people and she can kick. Right. I think it's a Family Guy joke that I'm riffing off of.
Well, Joss Whedon gets so up his own ass in that second Avengers film that he has Hawkeye do that bit. You know, where Wanda's like kind of having a bit of a confidence issue,